What do we have before us?
There are 5 items before the committee.
Okay. It's, item number 4. Let's start with item number 4.
Item number 4 is a report from the City Administrative Officer relative to a contract amendment between the Department of Rec and Parks and Canner Architects for as-needed architectural design services.
Great. Who's here for item number 4?
Good afternoon, Councilman. My name is Jaime Contreras. I'm with the Prop K Group of the City of Los Angeles, Bureau of Engineering. The reason why we're requesting this extension is the Lafayette Recreation Center is currently under construction, and the duration of the construction has been extended due to some problems with soil and other occurrences that have happened during construction. And further, commissioning is a requirement for the LEED certification, and that was not accounted for in the original contract. So that happens for about 6 months after the construction of the project is completed, and that was not enough time in the contract to complete those tasks.
So what if you didn't get this money? What would happen?
What if we didn't do this work?
What if you didn't get this money?
What if we didn't get this money?
Yeah.
We have the money available in Prop K. What we don't have is the authority to expend it and the time.
So you do have the money set aside for it?
Correct.
Okay, and the council of the district's been briefed on it?
Yes.
Good, okay. Recommend item number 4 be approved.
Thank you.
Great. Okay, let's go to item number 3.
Item number 3 are reports from the City Administrative Officer relative to a transition plan for the Human Services Department. Would you like to take item number 2 at the same time?
Sure.
And that is also a report from the City Administrative Officer relative to savings from consolidating other departments into the new Human Services Department.
Good afternoon, Councilman. Aurora Abrasio with the CAO's office. Before you are 2 items of reports from our office that address the potential issue of consolidation. Item number 2 is a report that was received and filed by the Budget and Finance Committee, which provides some history on prior efforts at consolidation and recommends that any future issues could be considered at a later date after the new Human Services Department has been in operation. The third item is a report that we provided that is a status update on the transition and the efforts that were made prior to July 1 to make sure that the transition of the 3 commissions was a smooth effort. We have provided some information in the report. We highlighted 3 critical areas, including the development of the ordinance to create the new department, payroll authorization to make sure that the employees as of July 1 would be paid and that the new accounts were created, and also interim leadership for the department. As of this date, I believe the ordinance is the only issue that's still outstanding and in process with the Mayor's office and the City Attorney's office, as well as the commissions. And the department staff, Cheryl Soriano, is here, the interim general manager, to provide a further update if you have any other questions. Or
Cheryl Soriano, Human Services Department. Essentially, there were 2 parts to this transition: the administrative technical adjustments that needed to be made to ensure that the department was operational. Those are for the most part complete, thanks to our partners at the Controller, GSD, ITA, and the CAO's office. The second piece is a short-term operational transition. We've prepared a report in conjunction with what we call the Executive Committee. This is the leadership of the 3 respective commissions, as well as Kelly Hawkins and myself. And we've outlined a series of systems that we want to have in place within the next 2 to 3 months to make sure that the department is functioning as a unified whole and to set the stage for future synergies.
Right. You still have a Human Relations Commission?
Yeah, all 3 commissions remain intact, yes.
Right, and it's all under the wing of this new department.
Yeah, the 3 commissions are advising this one unified entity.
Great. When this comes to council, there may be some interest by other colleagues to express themselves. So I think any kind of briefing prior to it would probably help the council and help you so that people understand it. But it's working in a positive way.
Yet the boards, there's right now operate, as of July 1st, we have 33 commissioners and about 30 staff members. So it's just a logistical process of getting everybody on the same page and systematically ensuring input from everybody to make the department credible and have the proper operating systems in place so that when a new general manager comes and takes over the department, they will be, in a good place to ensure that it meets the strategic objectives of the city.
Great. Thank you very much. Forward this to council. Okay, the water and power has now showed up, which is good. So we'll announce that we have been able to bring all the water back that we wanted to. Item number 1.
Item number 1 is a motion, Laban Chan, relative to asking the Department of Recreation and Parks to report on delaying implementation of their budgetary reductions so that it may keep its facilities open during the summer, during the time that LAUSD has planned for the closure of summer schools.
Good. Thank you. I'd like to hear from the public first, if that's okay. We have a public card filled out here for the proposal from Bernadette Soder of the Greater Griffith Park Neighborhood Council.
Good afternoon, council member and the panel, and Kevin Reagan of Rec and Parks. Our neighborhood council on June 16th read this very worthy motion, and we voted enthusiastically to support this motion. We're hoping that it might be possible to delay implementation because we can see this will be a great loss to the children of Los Angeles if programs are closed at the same time summer school is closed, which is a great outlet for our youth. Anything we can do to further this motion, any kind of advocacy you'd like to see us get involved in, please let us know. We would like to see this happen, and we would like to convert our letter of support we left here to a community impact statement when it does go before the full council.
Thank you very much.
Okay, may I make a respectful suggestion? I understand your motion is about delaying the budgetary reductions. Does that motion also extend to delaying the new charge that'll be levied to Rec and Park for payment of Department of Water Power Utilities, which is a new charge?
That's a different issue, but we
It's
can't
different.
talk to it now, but you can fill out a card if you want to talk to the next item.
Oh, okay, thank you.
It's different.
All right.
They have some rules here. I'd let you talk, Bernadette, but the city attorney wants to make sure we stay on the agenda item. Item number 4, just fill out another card. Or could we add 4 to this right here? Is that?
It would be best to
You got to
complete
submit
a
another
separate
card.
card.
Okay. Mr. Reagan, good afternoon. This is a very trying time. Every agency of government is having challenges. The school district unexpectedly announced about 3-4 weeks ago that they're going to not have summer school. We're into summer school. We're past 4th of July. Give us a thumbnail sketch of what's happening daily in the park system right now. And in talking to your general manager, he told me he was going to implement, well, if he had to implement drastic changes, he would do it after the peak summer season. I just want to hear that's confirmed again. Thank you.
Sure, I can do that, Councilman. Kevin Regan, Assistant General Manager, Department of Recreation and Parks. So first I'll give you that quick recap about what the department is doing during the summer season. Typically, during summer is our largest or heaviest use season of the year. A lot of kids out of school, families coming to the park. Of course, it's hot. Everyone needs those additional activities. This year in particular, with the recession and all of the financial problems that many families are facing, we're seeing even larger numbers of families utilizing LA City public parks than we have in the past. Well, we're primarily our 2 largest summer programs are our summer day camps, which are in full swing. We have not reduced, our summer day camps are in full swing. We have not reduced any day camp hours. We also have our...
Excuse me, Mr. Reagan, we're joined by Councilwoman Janice Hahn. Thank you very much, Ms. Hahn. Thank you. Continue.
Yeah, I'll continue. So I was just speaking a little bit about the summer programs that we're conducting at Recreation and Parks and how we're going to do that for the rest of the summer. So our summer day camps are in full swing. We really haven't seen any major reductions there. What we have done, which is really kind of an internal organizational shift, is we've put a little bit more of the requirements onto our full-time staff in terms of managing those camps. We haven't been able to hire as many part-time employees as we have in the past. We're keeping all the ratios and all of the supervision in place, so there's no problems there. We also have our aquatic season in full swing with junior lifeguard programs. Through a partnership with Kaiser Permanente, we've been able to offer swim lessons at...
Have you had to reduce any hours at any of your facilities because of the fiscal year 2009, 2010?
Well, we haven't yet implemented any of those types of reduction programs yet.
Do
However...
you think, okay, the question is, do you think you'll be able to make it through the summer without doing that?
Well, it's a very good question. I will say this. As soon as we entered the new fiscal year, we literally started facing a deficit of about 25. Our general manager is giving us a task to look at a $25 million reduction.
Right.
So this is a problem that if we do not implement reductions, the longer that we wait to implement reductions, the more severe the reductions will be in the long run. So what we're looking at is we've done a lot of things from...
Let me ask you a question. You're a manager, okay? You know that children usually go back to school, families go back from vacation. You're not as peak season. Changes when you go to mid-September, October. Correct?
That's generally correct, although, there is programs being run year-round.
I got it, but you only have so much to do. You're a manager. You got to manage this. You got to figure this thing out. So what I think we're concerned about is being able to be ready for, in this real live time, the onslaught of opportunity that may exist only in your parks and not at public schools because they're closed.
Right.
And then also, how could you front load your budget, if I could say that, and use it in the high peak seasons as you kind of make it through? Because everybody.
What we've done.
Right, okay.
That's exactly what we're doing. So the three biggest programs to be aware of and what we're continuing without any reductions this summer is our summer aquatic season, including all the junior lifeguards, swim programs, public swim, the day camp programs, the residential camping programs like Griffith Park Boys Camp, Girls
Right.
Camp, as well as the Summer Night Lights program.
Right.
So those core programs are making up our summer, along with some of the youth sport camps and other things that we do. Now, there will come a time when we're going to have to reduce hours at recreation centers, where we're going to have to reduce the numbers of hours that we serve the public. And you've heard us talk about the various plans that we have in place to do that. We've been working very hard in terms of the management staff at Rec and Parks. I can tell you personal experience, at least for the last 9 months, we have just been doing, nothing but consider every conceivable option to try to balance our budget, but by the same token, provide as much service as possible to the community.
Right.
The one thing that we cannot ignore is that this Recreation and Parks is facing a structural deficit of money that is just not going to be there. And we expend a certain amount of money to run this department and pay the staff and do all the things we have, pay all the bills and do everything we have to do every month. That money's being spent. And so as that continues to happen, we do have to look at the reductions, and we have. We have very sound plans.
Right.
And that's really just to let you know, I think the summer is going great. I think a lot of activities happening out at the parks. Really haven't seen a lot of service reductions yet, and we'll try to do everything we can to keep everything going through the end of the
Thank you very much. Does anyone else from Recreation Parks have any comment from the Valley to any other part of the city? Anyone want to add to that, or you're all okay? Okay, good. Ms. Hahn?
I know part of the problem is LAUSD actually not doing some of their events, but are we still in contact with them to see if there's any partnering opportunities? Are they holding court anywhere in the city that maybe we can, partner with them on summer programs?
Yes, we're continuing all of those, and as a matter of fact, the joint use agreements we have in place for, say, example, a few of the play fields and swimming pools are still operating this summer. We're still doing that in joint. There's several different ways that we partner with LAUSD currently, and most of those are not being affected because I think the biggest summertime issue for LAUSD is that they've really severely cut back on a lot of their summer school
Right.
opportunities.
Right.
So.
Which even puts more of a burden on us.
Right, exactly. And I think it may have been, Councilmember, just before you came in, I mentioned that we're seeing, due to the recession, the fact that a lot of folks don't have as much disposable income as they had at one time for recreational purposes, we're seeing a huge influx of people staying at home, not going on vacation, and coming
Right.
to the park.
Staycations.
For a lot, exactly, for a lot of different things. And our day camp numbers have actually gone up.
Wow.
So, we're doing everything we can to partner with LAUSD. We work in joint with the mayor's office, and there's a strong relationship there. And, John Muckery's forged a really good relationship with LAUSD, and we do have a lot of
We have a
local
good enough
partners.
relationship with them so we can bill them for all these?
You know what, I'm not aware of any actual billing situations, but Joel might, but we do quite a bit of joint use agreements and reciprocal agreements where we may not have a gymnasium, and here's John.
Yeah.
Mr. Muckery, I call you to testify at the, Mr. Reagan has given an overview, a little follow-up, some of our discussions earlier when I first brought to light the issue as it relates to schools, that you would be prepared as best as possible, realizing you are, as all city departments, getting reductions and things. And Kevin was giving an update on that. And my thought is, I've expressed to you before, that make sure that we could, to our best abilities, continue the services through September, because you're already in motion. You plan early. You already hired people for pools, for the camps, et cetera. Maybe a little overview, and if you had any questions, Ms. Hahn. Mr. Muckery, the number one man in the number one position, is here.
Thank you, Councilmember Labange. This year is particularly trying on the budget. As you know, we went through a budget process. Our budget reflects a $30 million shortfall, meaning that we paid $19 million in utilities we never had to pay. There was an additional $11 million in shared sacrifice. Since the budget was adopted by council, we have another $3 million in fleet services. That's the bad news. But currently, as you know, the unions have negotiated an early retirement package, which they're now out with their membership on. Anything we plan to do on furloughs, layoffs, as a city, are being held in abeyance. So to answer your question, we are business as usual today. We probably will be tomorrow through the summer, just out of the negotiations with the unions. We do need to look at the long-term health of this department, and we put together an operations plan, and it's a scalable plan, meaning that if there are early retirements, if there are furloughs, if there are layoffs, it's a hierarchy of program elements throughout the city that we would either add to with more money or subtract from. We have not taken this to any council members yet because of the uncertainty going forward with the budget and the union negotiations. Before we implement any changes in operation hours or close any facilities, we will be coming to you individually and collectively with this plan. So to make a long dissertation short, this summer we are continuing to program as we did last summer along the constraints of our original budget.
But you could foresee if next summer, a year from now, we were in the same economic condition, you would not be able to skate on this thin ice as much.
Well, that's correct.
Right.
Our budget, again, for those listening in council, we get property tax valuation. This year it's $140 million, and $37 million of self-generated revenue. We know for a fact that property tax valuation will be going down next year. What percentage is a debate. I've heard a low of 1%. I've heard a high of 5%. Of $140 million.
I would guess. Ms. Hahn, questions?
No. Although it reminds me of, gosh, right after I got elected, I brought forth the idea, remember the idea of charging $1 per DWP customer on their
Right.
bill? It was going to raise like $800,000 to go towards our rec and parks. And the reason they said we couldn't do it was because they couldn't reconfigure the bills to add another line to accept that dollar.
Well, I think it's time you called Water and Power again. And there's a man from Water and Power here, but he'll know who the billing man is. Not responsible, that's item
As
4.
I said, it's just, it was going to be like, you know.
Check it, like Project Angel Food,
Yeah, $1.
Project
you know?
Angel.
Yeah, so every other month would have been 800,000. And I would think most people who live in the city would be happy to do that.
Right.
But
Well, I think we're going to bring up CLA, a draft for Ms. Han's signature. I'll second a motion to the effect of asking that the Project Angel, I think it is, have another land for Project Youth.
Come up with a word. No.
Project Youth, Project
Something with parks and.
Project Parks. Just money to go to the parks, Project Parks. So we'll look at that. We'll work with those people.
But it would have to have an effort of maintenance of effort, where it couldn't be.
Taken off the top.
Yeah.
It's got to stay there. It's got to be, you know how the CAO, who's from the CAO's office here?
Oh, back there in the
Okay,
back.
Veronica.
Maureen in the back.
Very good. How they sometimes, if you get more money, then they give you less money.
Right.
Mr. Buckley, I just want to make a suggestion, if you would. When this comes to council, be prepared to give an update. You're part of the solution to Los Angeles, as the keeper of the public parklands, and let the council know firmly what is happening, that we can, if I could use the term, hobble into September, but it's going to be a change. We may have to close some facilities midweek as we get through the winter months due to the reduction, and not even know what next summer to expect, because we don't even know what our revenues are.
That's correct.
Very good. Anything you want to add there?
With respect to the summer programs with LAUSD, we're currently going to be having aquatics
For
program.
the record, just to introduce yourself. For the record.
Joel Alvarez, Rec and Parks Real Estate. And we're working with LAUSD on summer programs at Miguel Contreras High School, aquatics, as well as West Adams Prep and Helen Bernstein. And there are other various joint use agreements that are in the works as well.
You know, I just want to say overall, I'm proud of us for doing what we're trying to do this summer. I think that is, really important, and I know, it's difficult, and as you said, we're going to have a structural deficit, but I think it is so important what we're doing. I'm very proud of us. I mean, as a world-class city, I can't imagine us this summer not having our parks and our recreational facilities open and staffed for all the thousands of young people and adults too, that, as you said, this might be their only recreational vacation, is our parks and our activities. I know
Field trip to Cabrillo Museum.
I know a lot of young people love our summer camps, and I get compliments about how well they're run, and so I really am proud of us for doing this. I know it's a tough situation we're putting ourselves in the result of, but I don't see how we could have not done it, because I think the consequences would have been a lot worse. And while everybody touts the summer night lights, which is good and it's positive, but basically it doesn't come close to really comparing to what you do during the daylight hours.
No, that's correct. The Summer Night Lights is a
It's
great
nice, but-
8-week program, but we're out there 52 weeks a year.
Exactly, and that's getting a lot of attention, but really, you're accomplishing the same thing. You're reducing crime, you're keeping kids off the street, and you're providing a little joy in what probably is a very bleak summer for a lot of families.
I thank you for the comments, and I promise you I'll pass that on to the 10,000 men and women who make that happen on a daily basis.
Good, please do.
They're
the real heroes this summer.
Yeah, it's part of it. So we're going to move this forward to council. I hope it could be scheduled when you're available, John, because I think people would like to hear from you.
Yes, sir.
And be supportive. Thank you all. Next item, Madam Clerk.
Item number 5, and that's a motion, Labange Garcetti, relative to requesting the Departments of Recreation and Parks and the Department of Water and Power to report on the potential impacts of advancing to a Phase 3 position relative to the city's water resource on the city's parkland.
Great, thank you very much. I do have one public comment card. We have public comment, Ms. Soder.
Ooh, here comes one from DWP.
I'll go like this, here works. Could I run a 1-minute public comment? If you need more time, use it.
All right. Thank you. Good afternoon again, Councilmember Labange and Councilmember Hahn and the panel. My name is Bernadette Soder. I'm with the Greater Griffith Park Neighborhood Council. I'm chair of the Parks Committee. Earlier, I turned in our letter of support for the summer school motion, and I wanted to just communicate with you that during our discussion as a board of that motion, we noted that for the first time this year, the Recreation and Parks Department would be responsible for payments to DWP for water and power in our parks. There's a great deal of concern over this new huge expense being added to the budget, and we were wondering if the city might reconsider that. Specifically, in our much area in our parks is used for the delivery of water and power to the city. There are huge power transmission lines that cross our parks and are based in our parks. We have water conduits beneath the ground, and we have other delivery systems. For this, the DWP, as we understand it, pays nothing to the Parks Department. In a sense, it's a free right-of-way on the park. And it's a form of subsidy to the DWP. In return for this subsidy, which has been many decades, perhaps 100 years in some cases, we would like to request respectfully that the council relook at levying this charge on the parks this year and reduce, I believe it's $19 million that the parks will be owing DWP in return for water and power, take that money and plow it back into the park services for kids that we really, really need. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Ms. Soder. This is a concept that I share with you, and I know Mr. Muckery shares with you, but things have been implemented. Could we answer, we're in the same ballpark. Could you answer the question? What brought you to, what action brought Water and Power to charge you? Because in the past, they never charged you.
It's the Water and Power has always charged the city for utilities, so the city's never gotten a free ride. When I was general manager of general services, that came out of a combined fund for all city facilities, Rec and Parks being one of many, and it was just paid out from their fund, that water and electricity account that we held. The last few years, the stresses on the city budget has forced end users, I'm not the only one, libraries are another, street services, et cetera, now get direct charges for their utility use. Ours has gone up from $1 to $2 million 3 years ago to $19 million combined this year. So we are fully burdened with the
Is that
utility.
because they installed meters at your facilities, and prior to that, you had no meters?
No, I just believe that it's part of the budget process that to make the budget work, where they can charge for direct services, and utilities are direct costs, they have done that in the budget process.
But also, can we, maybe city attorney, I want to entertain a motion in council that asks that we forego the charge from Water and Power. We talked today in council about franchise fees for Water and Power because they have their lines come through and they pay no property tax. And there's no more water transfer anymore. So I would like to look at that. Would you be so, I don't, it's okay for Wendy. Wendy's going to be okay. Because it's going to get windy to get that green power coming to the city. Mr. Muckery, is there any obstacles that you know other than a requirement that we have to pay our bill?
I don't, first off, we have been working with the Department of Water and Power for at least 5 years on getting a handle on our utilities.
Right.
I know of no restrictions on working with them. I do know that the bill has to be paid by the cities somehow.
Somehow. And in 1990, when there was a lot of things, and I know this for a fact, that there used to be times where if, let's say, Janice, you, let's say, work for PG&E and I work for Water and Power. You work for Edison, but I was giving you a better location. PG&E and you're in Morro Bay, you're running those plants up there, and I call you from the East Valley, and I say, hey, Janet, how are you?
Hey, Tom.
Family? Good, okay.
Good.
Listen, I'm going to shut down Unit 2 and 3, so I need this many megawatts for you.
Let me check and see if we have them.
And say, okay, no
We
problem.
have them, but what will it cost you?
No, you wrote it down on pencil and paper.
Oh.
I know you're a water guy, Tom, but the power guys used to really do it on paper. And then when you shut down something at Morro Bay, they'd say, well, they'd trade it that way. But then the business of everything came into being. And the business of everything, deregulation, the business of accountability, which everybody wants accountability, where all of a sudden you have to have a meter everywhere, so you actually have a actual number that you look at. Conceptually, we support that, I think, 1,000%. Whether we legally can do that will be the question for the city attorney to ask. but we'll ask it formally to council, as it would be a great opportunity. But that doesn't mean they're going to get $19 million if they don't have to pay water and power. It just may mean the city budget gets $19 million, which is already stressed. Because they took the money from the CAO, gave you the money for your utility bills, right?
Actually, the only money I get is property tax valuation on revenue. In our budget, you will see under contractual services an obligation for $19 million. And Regina just told me it's now $21 million.
Right.
Even as we speak, there's been additions, subtractions to the budget. But there was no additional money. There's no appropriation
It's
from
the
the
calculation.
there's just an obligation to
And
pay.
what's the rate on reclaimed water? Do they give you a break?
We actually get a break on reclaimed water and water that we use. The cost of when we put water on a playfield is not billed at the same rate as if it was used for home use.
Right.
So we do have
You get an
meters.
agriculture rate.
Correct.
And the money that went to rebuild the water system for Griffith Park from the 1992 fire was an agricultural rate that you're paying over a 40-year period to upgrade that multi-million-dollar system, I believe. So,
And we do have meters, both electric meters and most of our parks have water meters on them.
now, one of the concerns we have, we just saw these exhibits A and B and C, and if I could give you A, this is B and C, is now with the item at hand on this issue
You
here.
get pictures of Harbor Park.
Yeah, look at right there.
Really bad.
So, Mr. Erb, you're here, Tom Erb, who's
No Harbor Park pictures?
man, look at that, you do. Some of the issues related now to the water, and you've reduced your water consumption by 43%, or,
Correct. The Department of Recreation and Parks has gone under the water ordinance since it was implemented, Phase 1. June 1st, we went to Phase 3. Phase 3 is the 2-day-a-week watering, no more than 15 minutes per, controller? Per station. And it's just not enough water to keep our parks green. Councilmember Hahn, yes, I did start out in the valley. The pictures we're taking will go through all 400-plus facilities.
Have you done Harbor Park yet?
I've been through every
There's one
park.
here.
We went through, Ramon Barajas and I took a tour the last couple of days, and one of the issues that we are facing now is we are in compliance. Now, we have had a couple of minor incidents where controllers gone past the 9 a.m., and that's going to happen in our environment. But we strive to be 100% in compliance, but by doing so, we are a very thirsty department where we need 3 to 4 hours of watering per playfield a week. We're lucky to get 15 minutes to 30 minutes. So our green fields are dying. There's no question about it. This water ordinance is friendly to the environment. We live in a desert. We agree with it. We support the reduction in water use, but it doesn't keep the fields green. Now, Councilmember, you asked me about what our water use reduction has been. 2 years ago, we used 40+% more water. 1 year ago to date, we used 20% plus. And these are not my figures. These come from the Department of Water and Power.
is that 62% if I add?
No, it's year to year. It's year to year. So you
guys have definitely gotten to the 50% that they've asked everybody to.
they've asked for 15% across the board.
You're way ahead.
We're way ahead of
Over
that.
that, yeah.
Our commitment is to continue to do that. I have Ramon Barajas and Dana Valdez who are doing the Smart Irrigation Program. The Smart Irrigation Program is to put these controllers in, computer brain controllers that actually sense the water moisture, can tell you how long you have to water, but they don't work if we just set them as a timer. It doesn't, we might as well not put in smart irrigation. That's
Just last week at council, we had a matter, it related to swim pads, misters, and slip and slides. And Water and Power assured me that you're exempt.
Correct. We interpreted initially the Phase 3 water ordinance if you are not on recycled system, meaning that if we had a splash pad that wasn't recycled, some of ours are, that this ordinance precluded us from using it. We've been working with the Department of Water and Power. They've been very open and honest. They said, no, you can still use these water features, misters, and slip and slides at our camps.
And a report from Ms. Hahn here, whether you're in the coastal region of the Great 15th District or the San Fernando Valley, the turf is dying.
It's dying, I'm getting a lot of complaints.
All right.
But, I mean, I have people who say they think the park should be exempt from this water conservation effort, which I disagree with. I mean, unfortunately, that's a huge part of our water usage is our parks. And I also think it does send a message to people that we are in a very serious drought condition.
Correct.
So when people complain to me, I pretty much say, yeah, this every time you see that, it's going to remind you that we're in a crisis. But what I want to know is that, are we going to have to reseed this at some point, or what ultimate cost to us is it going to be to have this grass basically die?
Currently today, we're at that tipping point.
Okay.
If we got relief, and I'm committed to saving water, we've already showed you, demonstrated we can, we're well below what the
Right.
goal is, we can reverse the turf fields today. If we wait a week or two, the root stock, they will die.
And then what? And then
It will turn into dust and blow away. But you asked me about reseeding, and we're looking at millions of dollars and weeks and weeks of reseeding.
Months.
We want to work with DWP to come up with a plan to demonstrate to the public that we are committed to water saving. And I can't say enough about the Department of Water and Power, both when Ron Deaton was there and when David Nahan.
sometimes.
They've done just a tremendous job working with us. They're actually funding the smart irrigation. They've committed to put in reclaimed water throughout our system where they
When is
can.
that going to happen? When are we going to get? Because
It's happening right now.
we should be having reclaimed water in our parks, and then we wouldn't have to comply, right, with any kind of.
Except what are the challenges you have? You have a dual system. In Griffith
Right.
Park, which is a large facility, it has purple pipe.
Right.
But also you want to make sure that you have portable water for those who
Right,
hike
right,
and
right.
ride. So
We-
there's two systems there.
Right. Okay.
But Mr. Erb is here. Maybe you could.
Yeah, we've been working with them, and I know that you get more technical information. It's one of connectivity.
And is
The
this
waters
time-
of,
Right, and is this the time for us to be exploring artificial turf?
we are very aggressive on our artificial turf fields. Artificial turf fields will never fully replace natural grass
Right,
fields.
but we may be in a new era.
But we are putting them in, we're putting them in at an alarmingly fast rate throughout
Okay.
the city.
All right. And I was noticing, just walking through Friendship Park, Bogdanovich Park up in San Pedro,
Alone or with a friend?
I walk along. But I always meet friends along the way.
Very good. Very good.
But I was noticing certain areas that were being watered that I was thinking that weren't play fields, but they were just kind of clearly it was landscaping. I'm wondering if we might take a look at some of those areas and begin to maybe replant those with drought-resistant plants. It doesn't need to be, I don't think there should be grass everywhere. And there clearly were a lot of places where there was grass, which it used to look
Correct.
nice, but no one's playing there, no one's really even walking there. So maybe those places we could begin to look at.
We couldn't agree more. In fact, we're developing with the Department of Water and Power a strategic plan on water conservation that will go years and years. And one of them is to look at areas that you will take out of watering completely.
Yeah,
So ornamental grasses
Right.
and plants will be taken out.
Right.
We want to maintain the integrity of the play fields and the picnic areas.
Right.
We know, I think Department of Water shares the same thing. We know this is the only green space in a lot of dense areas of this city. So we are working closely with them on looking at the current water ordinance and trying to figure out a way to accomplish both water savings, amend it in such a way that we don't lose this
Right.
valuable resource.
well, now you do know, even with our new ordinance, you're allowed to hand water every day of the week, as long as it's before 9, after 4. Have you explored the possibility of getting hoses and hand watering?
That we have explored it. There is that time frame before 9 and after 4,
Right.
but it's impractical in some of
I know it is,
our larger
but-
parks. Small parks, yes. In
I
fact,
mean, we might have to,
we just,
maybe we can recruit some volunteers you know, who live around the park might like to go out and, some people love to hand water. It's
We-
therapeutic. People
We
like-
actually,
I knew.
They love the water. I need
Councilmember, I agree with you 100%. We just discussed that with various groups, that we'll
Right.
provide the
Put out a
hoses.
few hoses, you know? let
Well, I
people-
just want to say,
Water our.
let me ask you a question now. You're a,
I would do it.
Let me ask you a
If I
question.
lived across the street from a park.
There was a president named Ronald Reagan.
Yeah.
Okay, and he used to go up and he'd ride horses and clear brush.
Yeah,
Now, did you ever think how much brush did he clear?
no.
Well, let's just say if he cleared what's in this room here, that'd be an awful lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if you have to water just what's in this room here and drag a hose,
No, I know.
that's an awful lot of work. I don't want to slight any of that.
I'm just trying to come up with a
We have a
compromise.
better solution, and
Okay.
it's going to last forever, and that's smart irrigation of
Right,
parks.
reclaim water.
No, smart irrigation, we can use potable water. Reduce water use by 20% without impacting on the turf at all. And we're doing that today. There's a tactical issue, you just mentioned that we have areas dying, that we need to get water down in any way we can.
Right.
And one of the areas we looked at was providing hose and getting volunteers. It's not very effective, that's the problem.
I know.
But we are exploring it, and we have, and we will. I would hope that working...
And during these summer camps, let kids, you know.
Well, Ms. Hahn, I am wanting to say that. Mr. Mucker, where did you first meet me in life? Well, listen to this. Wait a second, Ms. Hahn.
Put their swimsuits on and
You could do that. I know, but where did you
Very
first
first
meet?
time I met the council member, he was hiking down from one of the gardens up in Griffith Park carrying a shovel and a trash bag.
Okay. Now, it's very difficult. I do have a hose. I do have a hose. And I turn it on in the morning, and another guy comes behind me and turns it off. Another hiker. But it's very difficult, and it's not easy to drag a hose. And I think of all the workers who are not in this room, who work for Rec and Parks,
oh, I know.
who's every day, day in and day out. Let me ask the tough question. Let's say we get some consensus here. Ms. Hahn, a tremendous park person. I also share that feeling. We want to see some changes in this. Are you ready for some changes in this ordinance to give them a little more love, which is water? And maybe instead of doing it just twice a week, because some people don't. How many people who work on Monday through Friday are also working on Saturday and Sunday? And should we have a watering goal? Would it be better to give you a goal to reduce the water consumption? Because we're going to lose our parks if we won't. And by the way, and I don't know if this is scientific, but I see more more branches falling in the city because the water, they're not getting water. So what little water's there, they're sucking it up to the top of the tree. The branches get heavier. Is that true, Kevin? I see more tree drops, branches. I see some of your staff shaking their head.
The phenomena you're discussing, the summer limb drop, can occur.
Could drop more occur. Hopefully no one gets hurt. Let me ask you, Tom, here's what I want. And if you don't want this, Ms. Hahn, we may have to part on this one. I want to give them a little more love, which means a little more water. Come up with a way to exempt them. I don't want to see us lose. These are exhibits here. I think it's real important. And then also, because we did the same, remember when they, let me finish here. When they stopped construction on the street before peak hour, then everybody can't work. What are your people doing your people start at 6 a.m. and they leave at 3? They're not there even after 4, so the hours aren't right for us.
Can I say something? I'm Tom Gibson in Recreation and Parks Advanced Planning, and we actually have been working with the Department of Water and Power this spring and early summer to come up with amendments to the ordinance, which we think will really help the situation.
Great. We're ready to do them. Tom Erb.
Yeah.
Have you known Tom Gibson?
Mr. Chair, yes, we do.
What
Good,
are they?
okay.
Can you tell us what they are?
I'm Tom Erb, the Director of Water Resources at DWP. As Tom just mentioned, we've been working with Rec and Parks.
Which
and
Tom?
other-
Me, Tom, or you, Tom? Or
Tom Gibson, this Tom.
Oh, Tom.
We've been working with Recreation and Parks and other users, recognizing that the ordinance does need some adjustment to recognize issues that have come up since the implementation of Phase 3. So one of the changes is for an adjustment for people who can't use a hose, such as handicapped people. So we want to establish a variance process for that. We want to notify the mayor and the council concurrently when our board makes recommendations of changes in conservation phases. But particularly for large turf users, such as parks and golf courses and others. Schools, we recognize that they don't have the same flexibility as a homeowner will do to water with a hose. And so we have proposed adjustments that customers who meet certain requirements, such as cutting back an amount of water, using smart controllers, using recycled water if it's available, then they will have the ability to deviate from some of the provisions that are in the ordinance. And so we...
again, like I said, I had a constituent that said they thought our parks should be exempt. I think our problem is perception.
Right.
Because the nuances of some of your ordinance tweaks are going to probably be unknown by the general public, and the general public will see your sprinklers going on other days besides Mondays and Thursdays and say, well, my lawn's dying and I'm having to live with it, and, you know, I can't water, you know, with the hose for whatever reasons. And so I think that's the problem, because right now it's like we're all dying together. All of our grass is dying together, and it's bonding us in the city of LA. So it's just going to be a perception issue. When they see your sprinklers going on other times, I think it's going to send a mixed message, because I know there's a lot of homeowners whose grass is also dying, but they're living with it, and they can say the same thing. Their kids are playing on their grass in their backyard, but so I'm torn. I'm torn, Tom. I feel the same way. I hate seeing these parks dying, but I am torn, because it's definitely a painful process that we're going through in Los Angeles, but we're in a drought. We're in a crisis, and I don't know how we do it without, you know, sending a double message. We
presented proposed ordinance amendments to our Board of Water and Power Commissioners yesterday. They asked for some additional modifications. We hope to bring it back in 2 weeks, when the board will actually be meeting down in San Pedro.
Great.
And,
That's when you're gonna make that.
and then after if the board approves that, it would come to the council for your consideration.
Could we see those too? Because I may want to add a few. You know, what if...
Yeah,
you know,
John's telling us to start watering tomorrow, where we've crossed, we can't
But
come back.
let me just ask the question, would it be better for the Parks Department, instead of stopping at 9, it stops at 10, and it starts at 5? Because your workers work from 6 or 5:30 in the morning to 2:30 or 3. They're not even in the 4 o'clock hour. So and also, the late afternoon sun is a lot warmer.
Yeah, if there was anything, I would say, are you just adding minutes to the already Mondays and Thursdays?
Well, if I may,
I would.
the very parks where we need water, and we have programming until 10, 11 o'clock at night, so we have a short window anyways.
Right.
Regardless if it's 2 days a week or 7 days a week.
But your recreation people work one at a time, your maintenance people work another time.
Yeah, I would be more.
We're not hand watering, we're putting it on timers.
I could support Rec and Parks turning their sprinklers on for a longer period of time, starting earlier in the morning. I'm a big believer. One of those things you ought to start really early, because people start showing up at the parks early in the morning. I don't like seeing sprinklers when people.
Yeah, we generally do not do that. You may see it on some of the golf courses, hand watering on the greens, but that's to protect the fragile greens. The parks water after the parks close their recreation before they open the recreation, and we put a lot of effort. This plan will show you put a lot of effort in putting in smart irrigation and timer controllers.
Right. Yeah, I think I could be in favor of added minutes on the same day. Is that what you're looking at, as opposed to more?
Our position is we're going to save water. We're going to save water. We just want to do it smartly. Our commitment to the council was to be 25%, and I think between the 2 years we're at that, if not more. I know we can get down even more by either fixing our irrigation. The majority of the water goes to irrigation. Repairing our swimming pools, which do leak water, do have evaporation, and putting in recycle pads at our pads. So we're committed to this. It's just that I would hate to see us lose our parks today.
Right.
And we are saving water, so it's not...
You're saying you're going to get to the 15%.
We're there.
We already passed.
And,
We're there.
so you should be allowed to
I think your perception issue is very, very real. I think that we need to do a better job advertising what we've done together collectively, Department of Water and Power. We've done this over the last 5 years. We didn't start this year. We've been doing this consistently because we knew we were in a drought. And so I think we can combat public perception by actually putting real-time metered savings on our websites and on the mayor's website. We're committed to it. We are going to save water. I just don't want to see it at the expense of our people
Do
in
you
our
think
parks.
if you added more minutes to the already regularly scheduled landscape sprinklers, that would do it, or do you need more days?
I'm going to have Ramon Barajas, I
You know what
had
I'm
him.
asking?
Valley Superintendent,
You
right?
understand what I'm asking, right?
Yes, this, Ramon Barajas, Valley Superintendent. And the answer would be no, because, what we need is more days to water.
Okay.
Because we don't have the window of opportunity to put more time in the controllers. We have some parks that are very, large in turf that have up to, 25, 30 controllers. Each controller has, another 25 stations. So each station, we can't turn them all at the same time because the flow of
Oh,
water
I
is not
see.
there and the
So
pressure's
I
not there.
see. I got it.
So
So
we-
you don't have enough minutes
we
before.
don't have enough time.
I got it.
So what we need is more days, so we could
What
allow.
time do they come on in the morning?
In the morning, well, see, we could only water from midnight, see, we could only water on Mondays and Thursdays.
Right.
So that's a
So you
24-hour
start at
window.
midnight- You start
At midnight.
12:01.
For 12:01, so we
Okay.
go all the way to about 6 in the morning, because at
Okay.
6, people start coming into the park.
Right. So you're already doing that.
And then some of our parks don't close till about 10:30, 11 o'clock, because the softball games are, the parks are open till about 10:30. People don't leave about till 11.
Right.
So we could start at 10:30. So we actually only have an hour and a half. We could only water from 10:30 to 12, because if we go beyond 12, that goes into the next day, and then we're not following the ordinance. So our window of
You don't
opportunity.
have, some parks you probably do have a few more minutes.
Well, the parks that close at sunset, we have a few more minutes, or a few more hours, but it's still not enough time. It's 2 days a week is not enough time, and it's 15 minutes a cycle. You know, like in the valley, the valleys, the West Valley is a lot more clay in the soil. The East Valley is a lot more sandy soil. So in the
You know
East,
why?
Why?
Big Tahunga, the river, the LA River.
The alluvial floodplain.
Very good.
So anyway, so in the East Valley,
That in geology college 30 years ago.
So in the East Valley, in order for us to get enough water to keep the turf healthy, we would have to water about 2.5 to 4 hours a week, just to get enough moisture in the ground so that the lawn, the grass stays healthy. In the West Valley, it's a little less time, and we have to put it down in increments, because if you put it down all at once, it's more of a clay soil that will run off, and then when you get runoff, it just goes into the sewer. So, like Mr. Mercury was saying, the smart controllers that we have right now are, the ones that we haven't installed are not working, because they're supposed to be working. They're the brains of the irrigation, and we're telling them what to do. We're telling them you can only water on this day, on that day.
Sepulveda's 100% recycled water?
No, it's not. Sepulveda, Balboa Park is 100 recycled. The 3 golf courses are recycled. The entrance to the Sepulveda, the office right there, the office, that's recycled.
Not the sports field?
This Balboa Sports Field is on recycle. We just got that one about 2 weeks ago.
Last week.
Yeah.
Started July 1st.
Council members, Kevin Regan, Recreation and Parks, once again, I just wanted to jump in on what Ramon is saying. So what we're really saying is we're not asking for more minutes. We're not asking even for more water. What we're asking for in these amendments and the amendments that Water and Power Commission was reviewing in collaboration with Water and Power staff, these amendments, and I can read you some of the bullet points, are really asking for the Department of Recreation and Parks to be able to apply the water in the way that we see fit, and in conjunction with these smart controllers. So the smart controllers are designed to give you the optimal amount of time on the turf that you need based on all of these mathematical calculations on the amount of moisture that's in the ground. If we try to manually, the way Ramon was describing, if we try to manually force these controllers, which are designed to operate on their own, and we force them into like a date and time restriction, we can't even water an entire park. So what we're looking at is just letting those controllers run the way that they're supposed to run. We may use even less water than trying to force these.
Do you need an extra day to do it, though?
We will need extra days, because you have, see, the way a smart controller works, or a belief is that,
What will that tell you? What will that smart controller tell you?
well, the smart controller just applies the exact amount of water that the turf needs. It's based on either sensors or satellite data. And there's a lot of calculations that happen. It's all computerized. So what happens is
My fear is if you immediately go to those, they're going to go, whoa, this stuff is dry.
well,
We need to water.
maybe
Whoa,
initially.
Like a cardiac arrest.
Maybe initially, because they are so dry right now.
Yeah.
But what happens,
Sense major dryness.
well, but what happens with the smart control over time is that it only applies that exact amount of water that it needs. And that really is where your water savings come in. The other thing that we haven't talked about, and I'm just going to throw it out there because it is very important. There's one asset in the city that is just totally unacceptable to lose the turf, and that's on our golf courses. Golf course greens are worth $150,000, $200,000. We lose one because we can't water. To repair, to rebuild, to reseed. I mean, it's a very high-value bent grass mix. You can't just create those overnight. They're very expensive. Well, it's one of the ways that the department generates revenue, not only for the department, but for the city. And without that revenue stream, that's a very important part of our operations. So one of the exemptions or modifications we're asking for is that we be allowed to hand water during the hours of 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Because on a golf course, you have to apply water to a golf course green in the valley, say when it's over 100 degrees during the day, to keep the heat down so the grass doesn't just die. So hand watering exemption on golf courses is something that was contained in these. It's very important for the department. That's what I wanted to.
So here's the thing. You have a commission, right? They're going to make these recommendations. By the time they make recommendations, we may be well into the end of summer. So consequently, if I could get what's written up here, I would like to go to council, because if, let's say we lose all this turf, whether it's a golf course or whether it's parks, there's a strong value there. This is an urgent emergency that we would lose that. If these smart controllers would save water, that we still are in the guidelines, we should look at that.
It's up to us to tweak the ordinance.
Right.
You know, we're also losing trees.
Right,
Especially
that's
all
what I
vertically
spoke
planted
of right
trees.
in
We're losing a lot of
the
trees.
beginning when I did that, so, right, just to get the figure. You lost a tree on Boy Scout Road.
Again, I just want to say, as general manager, we're committed to saving water. We demonstrated,
Got it.
we're working with
You
DWP.
got it. You had to say the whole.
Even if we amend the ordinance, we will still commit ourselves
I
to
think our public
25%.
perception is we're going to take a hit for them.
Well, I think I'd rather take a hit than lose the parks,
Okay.
so I think that we could do that. So we're going to do a motion to ask that, to expedite some of this. We should look at what you're doing. Ms. Hahn, thank you very much. We're going to move this forward. You going to second my motion?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, thanks a lot. Thank you, Ms. Hahn. All right, so we'll do that, and then we'll have to try to get into council, because we could very quickly see ourselves in a position in 15 to 20 days from now that we lose. All of a sudden, you lose everything.
Yeah, if we wait any longer, we're gonna end up losing the turf. What it is right now, we're at the point right now that if we water, we still might be able to bring back the turf. What happens is if we continue, the turf is gonna be, by the traffic, because we get a lot of traffic. It's not like,
Right.
we get a lot of traffic in some of our parks.
No.
So the traffic is gonna go into the root system, is
Right,
gonna,
and then it just goes away.
and then,
I didn't even think, Madam City Attorney, this would be a Rule 23 that calls for immediate action of the council due to the climate, due to the time. So I'll check with the President of the City Council to see if we could look at that. But what I need help from is Recreation and Parks and Water and Power, restating the general managers that they will reduce
Correct.
water uses. They do support the Department of Water and Power as ever, but the reality is no one has this turf. No one has this space. No one has this park. No one's comparable to this number. Do you know the actual acreage of all parks?
we, about 3,000 acres.
No, 15,000.
No, 15,000.
15,000 plus.
4,000 plus in Griffith Park alone.
About 60% is irrigated
Right.
on a routine basis, so.
Right.
And we're, as Councilmember Hahn did ask, we are looking at areas to take out land out of irrigation. That's ornamental in nature. But as you stated, Councilmember, this is a resource we can't afford to lose.
Right.
Once it's gone, it's going to be gone for a lot of time and a lot of money.
Right. And then a lot of less joy for people who experience the parks. So, okay, so thank you very much for this report. And we're going to send it on to council, and then I'll have a motion which will show everybody here. If they want to comment on it, they can. We'll go from there. If you could stay after the meeting, I want to work with the CLA's office on that. No other items, Madam City Clerk? Thank you all for your attendance. This meeting has been adjourned. Anybody is welcome to stay if they want to add to this drafting. Thank you.